Oh man, so we're here with Corey Fonville, one of many amazing people that I've met on my journey through Richmond, Virginia. Amazing instrumentalist, way more than a drummer, but you might have seen him in Butcher Brown. You might have seen him with Nicholas Payton, which he'll be playing with today with a few other members, Butcher Brown, at the DC Jazz Festival. Really excited for that. But we're going to talk about musicality. We're going to talk about the process. We're going to talk about the outcome of releasing music and what it really takes to dig deep into the thoughts and feelings that people are feeling when they're listening. So really excited to have him on. So what did you want to be when you were a kid?
What did I want to be?
Yeah.
Oh man, I wanted to be so many things. I wanted to be a police captain for a little while. Then I wanted to be a race car driver. Then I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. Then I wanted to be I had a long time where I wanted to be a Boys and Girls Club director. Then I wanted to be a lawyer.
Another good one. Yeah. I
Shop
thought about taking
owner.
the bar exam.
Really?
You can just take it.
Just take it.
Yeah, you could study and take the bar exam,
My
bro.
homegirl just passed the bar.
Congrats.
You know, it's like a weekend. It's like a 3-day.
That sounds so stressful. I don't want to
10
go
hours
over
of
3 days.
There you go. Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
So,
It's like 10 hours, 3 days, some shit like that.
There a job that stuck at some point and then you were like, okay, this is what I want to do?
What you think?
I mean, obviously, yes.
What?
Like
What's the one thing that I do?
journalism or storytelling, I would say. Analysts. You do a lot of things, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
What a loaded question.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, no, I never narrowed it down, Alex.
Yeah,
I never narrowed it down. I know I don't want to be the police though.
Yeah, definitely
no,
don't want to be
hell
a police, man.
Hell no, not the police captain.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of funny. I always wanted to be an inventor.
An inventor?
An inventor, yeah. And I mean, when I got older, you know, I wanted to be an artist manager, and I did do that. It did take a long time. But I think that actually stuck. Like, I mean, inventor can be a lot of things. I would say that we're inventors of sorts. You know,
No way.
Maybe more creators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would in the music field specifically, I did want to be Quincy Jones.
You always say that.
That is absolute true. I did want to be like a former musician who turned into like this producer, but a producer that like produces people, not like a
like
beat
more
maker.
A&R and like kind of deal, like connecting people, or
Like Quincy Jones says, like, you got to make great songs. That's what I want to do. And like he never played. He was like the Steve Jobs of music in a sense. Like he didn't like actually like do shit, but like he was like, no, that chord progression sounds good. To me, you need to sound more like this. Let's move some arrangements. A better Diddy, if you will. A more ethical Diddy, if you will.
yeah, I've done a little bit of that in music licensing when we're, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm helping to compose, but yeah, like kind of directing in a small sense.
It's
weird. It's fun.
It's a necessary position, but it's a hard one to define, like musically, because you could call yourself executive producer if you put the money up, but if you don't put the money up, then you just a producer, and then the expectations of an actual producer is that you're actually producing with your hands and your. But it's more like the film version of production in music. But yeah, that was my original dream in music, was to be like a Quincy Jones and like compile a whole bunch of musicians and do like. I think people know it better now for like the DJ Khaled strategy, but like before that, Quincy Jones was running that shit up on like Love Q or Q's Juke Joint. It was just like a combination of 20, 30 artists who were popular at the time, and then you put them all on the same album of compilations of singles that they made. And so like that's also always been my North Star. Funny enough, I looked at my drive the other day and I got about 12 songs.
Yeah.
I like that. So I was like, oh, it's almost time.
I mean, that on episode 11 with Isaac, we were talking about record labels, and in the electronic scene, there are a lot of that, and I actually did mention this, there are a lot of labels that release compilation albums. I think it's a really cool thing that is really prevalent in electronic music because it's dope. You know, they sign, you know, 10, 12 songs, make an album, push it, It's great for everyone.
Yeah, it is.
So that is something you can do with the record label. That's probably something I would look towards if I was going to start a record label, which I do want to do that in the future.
Start a record label.
Yeah, that would be. I feel like in my journey of like music industry stuff, I've been able to see who the winners are and who's like doing well, but it's a lot of work. And artist management, as we know, is a lot of work.
Man.
Music licensing, a lot of work. Touring, a lot of work. But record label, like, it depends. If you have it set up right, it's not a bad choice.
What do you need? What would you need for a record label? Money?
Money. You don't have to have money, but I would probably want to do it with money just to do it right.
Yeah,
because I want to pay people and, because you can do it without. You can just sign, medium-sized artists who fuck with you.
Yeah.
And they'll do it for the royalties. But I want to give them like an actual, payout, get a little investor, And I want a studio. I want a studio.
Sure.
I want a studio
Same.
that I can track bands
Same.
in. That would be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I'm going to the studio on Wednesday.
What studio?
We're going to Bias Studio so we can do a full band situation. They can track everybody at the same time. We looked over here, but it's not enough capacity over.
Yeah, there's only a couple in DC. There's one in Falls Church that's really popular. I forget the name of it.
It might be Bias.
Where they track a bunch of bands.
Yeah,
it might
be Bias.
It was like rated one of the number one studios in like the country or something recently.
I don't give a fuck about that. But it's like there's also one that's Tonal Park, which is in DC, and Tacoma Park.
Yeah.
Beautiful studio.
Beautiful studio.
Oh my God. Beautiful studio over there. So yeah, we're actually about to lay down another. I'm doing a cassette project with a rapper right now. We're gonna take this one song. We're gonna do 3 different versions of it. We got like a soul version. We got like actually, funny enough, one of the beats that the artist wanted to use originally is now Grits by Kaylin Ellis.
Oh, what?
Right. So they're doing a live version
crazy.
of that. Like a little mashup situation.
What? How synchronistic is that? That's
Dude,
Kaylin's everywhere though. Kaylin is like, he's a producer. He'd be like,
I don't be knowing these people, man.
Yeah.
And so when we put the episode out, my man was like, "Oh, you know this dude." And I was just like, "Yeah, man,
Yeah. My coworkers were like, "Oh, Kaylin Ellis." Even my boss was like, "Oh, he actually recorded in my house." So it's cool. I mean, it's cool to meet someone who's like touching so many different weird circles that we're also.
But I see he is a producer. I see that now, and I've also seen him now just pop up organically, like on my social media stuff. It's like, he's pretty good.
He's good people. He's good people.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to kind of just mention that I've been thinking about lately, as you know, like one of my friends passed away recently.
That's the funeral you were at?
Yeah, my friend Jad, and he took his own life.
Jad,
J-A-D. He's Lebanese.
Yeah.
And, I was thinking because on social media, he seemed like he was, doing well and, making money and going out with the people who I grew up with still.
Yeah.
And then, that happened. So, like, it's been making me think lately that, like, when you're checking in on people, like your friends, you gotta be intentional and actually ask them how their, like, mental state is if you have the time and capacity to do that, Because there were times when I had, like, just passively, hey, what's good, or like comment on some of his, stuff. But that's something that I hadn't put forward in my daily routine because I do have a lot of messages to get back to between work and my regular life, so I'm bad at them. I want to get better, but yeah, man, checking in on your friends, checking intentionally. That's really
Do you think your check-in would have saved him? Let me know if we go too deep.
No, I think the weird part about that was there were people who hung out with him like a week before that, and he was fine. So maybe you never know what someone's doing when you message them, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. It's like with any sort of contact, sometimes you hit someone up and they happen to be on their phone already, right? So they'll actually see something, or they're on their email already, so they actually respond. So. Yeah.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Also had a friend of mine take her life recently as well, an artist. And it kind of threw me for a loop. Apparently, the way the other people were acting, it wasn't like really much of a surprise. But I will say
That's not good.
no. Actually, this is, there have been people in my life who have often expressed, like, mental anguish and not necessarily wanting to be here anymore. And then they have executed their goal. And when this happens, my instant tendency is to think like, oh, could I have done something? Could I have intervened? This is going to sound stupid, but it makes me think of this scene from The Incredibles when the dude was trying to jump out the building and Mr. Incredible saved his life and then he sued Mr. Incredible, right? In this path of non-religion that I've taken, the way that I see suicide now is, it sounds a little fucked up, but like, I respect people's sovereignty. If your friend seemed happy the day before and then took his life the next day, it's like, what were your friends gonna do? Like, what would we like stay with him? Like, put him on suicide watch, and then what would that have done? Would that have appeased him, or would that have radicalized him?
Yeah, everyone has their time. We don't know how much.
I just don't.
Yeah. That's a very good point. It's funny, well, it's not funny. I always say that. That's a bad thing to say. It's interesting because sometimes in the past when somebody's died in my life, usually I'll, maybe shed a tear like a year later. You know what I mean? And for this, it was like I hadn't been to a funeral in a while, so that was intense. It was the worst high school reunion ever. You know what I'm saying? Because,
right.
like we're all, in our 30s, and stuff like that. You mind getting Corey? Appreciate you. But the way that it affected me has actually been like motivation and like, oh well, I need to do more and continue.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's maybe it's because I'm getting older.
It made me, when these people take their life, it does, to your point, it does embolden me because like you have to choose life every moment, not even every day, like every moment you have to choose life. And when you see somebody make the opposite choice, it's like, oh shit, like this, I don't even believe in binaries, but that is a binary. You either live or you don't.
Or you don't. Yeah. That's intangible.
And this person chose not to. Okay, what you gonna do?
Yeah. I mean,
I have to choose life because I now know what it looks like not to choose it.
Yeah, it makes the days where you might be a little down just almost nothing now.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not that down.
Yeah, I'm not that down. I'm not that down. But yeah, I think it's a good way for me to take it, and that's how I've been talking to my friends about it. But yeah, sorry to get a little morbid, but I think that is. I've been in my circles. Maybe I'm just getting older. I've been seeing a lot of people kind of passing away lately. So it's good to, as we have this platform, I think it's good to talk about these things because, hey, like you said, we might be helping someone.
This is true.
Hey, oh, he's not there? Oh, wait, he called. Oh, let me call. Producer.
Yo, what's up, bro?
What's good?
Yo, I'm out front.
Okay, bet. I got my boy Davion coming down right now.
It has been accepted. So my friend passed, right? My friend was also one of my first clients. Actually, two of them who've taken their own life.
Yeah,
were actually two of my first clients,
on,
right?
Episode 11, yeah.
We talked about this, right?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just like, so like when they passed, it like came circling back to me. I had all this footage of her performing, and I could send that footage back to her family, and it made me recognize my purpose. Back to the point of life.
That's
like that shit feels immortal. I wonder how I guess feels about capturing sounds as a form of immortality.
That's a good one.
You know
Capturing
what I mean?
sounds of that's one of my favorite things about music and distributing music is it lasts forever.
Come on in, brother. B-Mo.
Corey,
Come on in, man.
Corey. Good to see you. Man, welcome.
What's up, man?
How y'all doing, man? I'm good. How you feeling?
Beautiful.
Good, man.
You just walked into a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came in hot.
It's all good. It's all good.
That's how the podcast
That's how we
goes.
do it,
It's
man.
like that, man. Casual.
We were talking about the. You said casual. I'm about to ask you a very non-casual question. I'm about to ask you about how do you feel about capturing sound as a form of immortality?
Man, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Okay, we were. This is. We're gonna start out really.
Came in with heavy hitters.
So I'll cut out a piece of it so we can get to the good part. A friend of mine passed a few years ago. This friend of mine was actually one of my first clients, and when they passed, it came rushing back to me. I had all this footage of her, and so as my purpose as a producer to capture these moments, I felt like sending those clips to her family offered a moment of immortality for her. So I was like, I wonder how I guess would feel about capturing sounds as a form of immortality. Do you take it that deep, or are you just ones and fours?
Oh man, no, sound is important.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of colors when I see sound.
Wow.
You know, it's a lot of emotions to all these things. I'm not sure if that's called synesthesia. I know synesthesia is like something to do with taste.
Yeah.
But gotta fact check me on it. But yeah, I always, I see colors and sound. I mean, as someone that is creating sound and has been for a long time, like you get emotional. It also brings a lot of spirits
Yeah.
into the room. Especially you start thinking about how it's played a role in like church.
Yeah.
In that space, and it's a spiritual thing. Music is spiritual. So like, I don't know. I think for me, sound, that's something that is super broad, of course, but specifically to like drums, like that instrument, that's super primal, especially for black people.
Yeah.
You start moving immediately when you
This
hear
is
some
true.
drums. Like people just stop what they're doing. That's a primal thing. So
Yep.
it can bring people to an emotional space. Like I have an example. I was in Miami for about 10 days last week. I just got back Monday, and I went to go to this spot, and I heard a bunch of really amazing like Cuban musicians that
Yeah.
just got to Miami from Havana, young,
That's dope.
just dope. And man, I almost started crying because of how deep it was. Because they were just in them rhythms, bro, and like playing all the montunos, and they started singing, and like it was deep. And I remember it was like right at midnight, this girl's birthday was happening, and they were having like a whole party. It was all these girls just doing their thing. My man started singing happy birthday in Spanish, but they did like a whole flip on it. And it just felt so good. And immediately I started tearing up in happiness.
Yeah.
Shit.
Because it just felt amazing. So that's my relationship to sound and music and all of that stuff, man.
Wow.
You just brought me back to this time when I was living in New Orleans. It's the first time I was in the second line. And we were in a neighborhood that had been affected directly by Katrina. Still a little dilapidated. Houses still closed, but people were singing and praying and marching and running through the streets with so much joy. And that contrast was like, oh,
Yeah.
what a powerful moment.
Man, when them arm hairs stand up.
Man. Welcome to the show, brother.
I like that.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, man.
Welcome to the show.
Let me drink a Toto so I'll be on brand. Here we go. Here we go.
It's a lot of different flavors, man.
Yeah, this is it.
Oh man, so many questions. So I met Corey just really in the Richmond scene through Devon, DJ Harrison.
Facts.
Obviously we manage him at my 9 to 5. And I think since we already have heard the story of course, you get Butcher Brown a lot because you're, the drummer in Butcher Brown, but there's way more to that. Let's start off with your latest release, Montrose. I was listening to it in the car, way here, and I think my favorite song was Melvern.
Melvern, yeah.
Melvern, because it reminded me of kind of like that Mansur Brown, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But how'd that come together? Like,
Oh shoot.
just
Well,
the project.
Yeah. I'm blanking on it now at this point because I record a lot
You
of music.
record a lot,
but
yeah.
we recorded that record I think 2 years ago at my friend Adrian. We did it at Adrian Olson's studio, Montrose, out in Richmond. He's now in LA.
Okay.
Incredible engineer. He actually has pretty much mixed almost every Butcher Brown record.
Is this the same guy Devon was talking about the other day?
Same
when he
guy.
was in LA?
He's a guru, man. Yeah, he's a guru. Really fortunate to have him in our network. But me, him, and Charlie Hunter just one day I felt like got in a thread and just started talking. And Adrian was just like, "Yo, we should cook up like a record of just like 20 beats." Mm-hmm. And basically Adrian had the opportunity to kind of turn on his artistic side and like, you know, mess with some knobs and like start just like getting creative, just like turn all the tubes on, just do what you do. Just like we were doing with our instruments. So he was using all that gear in that studio that he has as an instrument. And so we just like cranked out like 20 joints maybe in a day. I can't remember. With Charlie.
Y'all niggas crazy.
Yeah, Charlie's a beast, man. And you know, for those that don't know about Charlie Hunter, he's a phenomenal bass player and guitar player.
Yeah.
He is he played a huge role in Voodoo, D'Angelo's record. He wrote The Root, Spanish joint, and he plays on Great Day in the Morning. He's one of the coldest musicians, man, and he lives down in Greensboro, but he's from Oakland, California.
Yeah.
Bad dude. But anyway, yeah, man, we just decided to put these records out finally, and we just, I think at the top of like around early June, mid-June, we started just dropping singles like every other week.
That's what you gotta do.
Yeah, man, just putting them out. We were just like, fuck it, let's just get this music out, or else it's just gonna sit.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know, talking to musicians like Devon and you and Marcus, like y'all just be sitting on music because you make so much music. It's like it's just crazy.
Yeah,
so you gotta convince yourself to put it out and you know have a plan.
Yep.
So then, like, okay, what's your markers of success then?
What do you mean? Like,
so like I hear you like, okay, you don't want to sit on the music for too long, but what makes you sit on it?
You know, sometimes it's better to sit on certain things because they're not fully developed yet.
Okay.
Some stuff you just know, oh, this is ready. Let me go ahead and get this shit out. Sometimes you put stuff out that isn't quite ready, maybe, but you just want to get it out there, and then eventually you're like, you know what? I'm gonna put this out again. Like there was something that I dropped. I had put out a little beat tape a few years ago called Vibes from Home.
Right.
Of just beats I had just been working on during the pandemic. And
That's cool.
I put it out, and then like 2 years later, I sent a couple to Yaya Bay for her new album. So it was just like, okay, cool. Let me, you know, it's gonna be a whole other song because it's got vocals on it now.
Yeah.
So you have that flexibility.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But that's the beauty with music, man. Sometimes it's like a demo vibe. Let me just get it out there. And also with this record, you know, going back to Montrose, those songs are just all beats. So it could turn into a thing where we decide to do a remix or whatever and get like a rapper on it or get somebody to sing on some of these joints. So like there's just a plethora of options with instrumental music, which makes it cool because it's like, oh, I can re-release it.
You could.
That's true. That's true. So do you only play drums? Do you play other instruments? Or?
I mean, mainly drums. I mean, that's what I'm best at. I play, you know, when I work on stuff at home, I'm playing bass. Play a little keys. Not enough for people to. I don't like.
But I feel what you're saying.
I do it in my own little bubble.
So a better question is, what is there a member of Butcher Brown that only plays one instrument? Because everyone I've talked about, Marcus can play every instrument. Yeah. Devon can play every instrument. Like
I mean,
you can pretty much play every instrument.
I mean,
well, you know, sometimes, man, it's like, look, I'll hit up them like everybody else. Sometimes I'm like, yo, can you play bass on this? Because I don't have the technical facility to do so. Same thing on keys. So I'll be like, yo, Devon, can you do this? Andy, can you do it? But I like to try to force myself to do it because that's how I get better.
Yeah.
And then what happens is I'll be sitting there doing like 45 takes of this motherfucker, but it don't matter because I feel like I'm growing from that. I'll get blisters on my hands and all that stuff, but I'm trying to sit there and work it out.
Yeah.
I got the same. So, what are your markers of success? I don't know if you've answered my question. I don't know if I've quite asked the right question yet. But as another neurotic person, I was saying to my little cousin one time, she was doing an internship with me and do a lot of things like you got to grind it out, you got to do it yourself, you got to figure it out. But once you get to like safety goggles and like a sewing machine, it's time to start calling experts. Yeah. So when do you know, like, it's still part of my question, but when do you know when you've reached like your limits and you got to go, you got to call your mans?
I can't really explain how I know that limit. I just know, all right, man, I can't do this no more. When I'm just sitting there like, all right, bro, I've done 40 takes. I'm sweating. I'm hot. I'm frustrated. I take a break. I need to go outside and smoke.
Yeah.
All right, bet. I'm going to hit somebody else up to do it. But, you know, man, it's like I just try to push through as much as I can, man, because that's just the only way I know. I'm a psycho.
I'm not satisfied. I don't know.
But yeah, definitely. Speaking of summer, I wanted to talk about the jazz festival. You are playing drums with Nicholas Payton, right?
Yeah, yep.
Who is an extraordinary trumpet player from New Orleans. yeah, how did that all come together?
Well, I've known Nick since I was 18. I was in this special program that was for college students called the Brubeck Institute.
The brew what?
The Dave Brubeck Institute.
Oh, word?
Dave Brubeck, Take 5. Yeah, he had
Word?
he had a school called...
You in the Institute?
Yeah. I was in that program, bro, and it was out in California at the University of Pacific.
Yeah, I get it.
But anyway, Northern California, and Nick came out for 4 or 5 days, man, and he fucked me up. Just like literally, but like in the way,
in a good way,
in a way that was like he was quiet, and he always had a very like loud personality on the internet. And at this time, this is around 2009, Facebook was still hot, and he was on there tweeting on Facebook. And he started a whole movement, man, and got a lot of backlash for it too.
Isn't he into a lot of like politics, black culture?
Yeah,
like,
and at that time they weren't ready for it.
Comedy, before it was out there to do that stuff.
So so anyway, man, Nick, me and him just got cool. You know, he took a chance on me, man, and I remember like as soon as that year ended, He had his management reach out to me and was like, hey, is he available to play a show with me out? And I think it was in Fort Lauderdale at some theater. And I was like, oh, shit, this is about to happen. All right, cool. I called my dad up. I was like, yo, I'm about to go play with Nick Payton. He was like, yep, here we go. It's about to start
here we go.
So that was all right, cool. That was a mark right there in my career for like, okay, I think I'm on the way.
Yeah.
And it gave me a little confidence, man. You know, I came from Virginia Beach, which is not a huge place for the music. You know, obviously for like Pharrell and Chad and like production stuff, cracking.
Yeah.
But like live jazz and all of that, kind of non-existent, really. You know what I mean? It was like some cool. There was some great musicians in the area, but there just wasn't no infrastructure. And so, like, I really had to do a lot of work to get out there and make sure people can find me.
Right.
And so, anyway.
So where'd you go?
Man, well, I did some cool programs in high school. Like there was a program called the Grammy Band that I got into, which I met a bunch of amazing musicians through that. Going to the Brubeck Institute was also crucial. I did a little tour day college. I went to the New School for a year.
Okay.
So I met some people that basically just kind of snagging from different schools. I was at Berkeley for a millisecond, met some niggas there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, fuck, I'm going back to Richmond. Went back home, started going to Richmond from Virginia Beach, and just like tapped in with DJ, and like, I'm gonna circle back to Nick. Nick started paying attention to what I was doing with what was not even Butcher Brown yet, but he saw us putting stuff on YouTube. And then I remember, I think he saw something, man, that just struck his attention, because we were just putting shit on SoundCloud and YouTube. And then eventually he texted me and was like, yo, we should do a record. So Nick came up to Richmond to record at Jellystone with us.
Okay.
We did like one record that hasn't come out yet, and then we did Numbers.
That's crazy.
And this is all around 2013.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was like a mark of success for me, because it's like basically getting this shit out the fucking mud without no real help, coming from a place that doesn't have an industry. And basically making it happen for yourself just through word of mouth, just through the internet. And trying to make the best music possible for yourself.
See, that's why I could feel that.
That's the mark of success.
That's the Virginia bitch shit. You know what I'm saying? You came in where the soil was not nutrient, but you still grew flowers. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but like straight up, that was one of those things, bro. Like that to me was like, okay, I'm not in New York City. I'm not in LA.
Yeah.
But we figured out a way to I got my name out there. The homies has gotten their names out there. Now, like, 2 other members from Butcher Brown are on stage with me playing with Nicholas Payton.
See, that's the important part right there.
So it's like all this connecting of the dots, this community that
there's going to be more
What's that?
People from Butcher Brown?
So Morgan's playing with us today.
Morgan's
and
dope.
Andy's playing bass.
Okay.
This shit about to be sick.
So that's the thing. When the door open for you, you got to come in and you got to open the window for your niggas. That's what you got to do.
Exactly.
That's what you got to do.
Exactly.
So are there what other ways have you, like, I think Issa Rae calls that networking laterally. What other ways are you using that strategy to, like, put people on or, like, grow even your success?
I mean, it's been cool because, like, now I've been fortunate to have a really cool relationship with Yaya Bay.
Yeah, nice.
That's like my sister, man. And, like, we've developed a nice rapport over the past 2.5 years. And I brought the Butcher homies in on that. And she like has been coming to Richmond and recording. She's coming in a few weeks to start working on her next
shit.
record.
People
So it's
love
just like,
visiting Richmond. Anderson .Paak is visiting Richmond, just
Anderson-
chilling.
I mean, it makes
just chilling. It's a fun place.
Yep.
You get that little southern flair. You know what I'm saying?
and it's not gonna be like that
Yeah.
forever. So we gotta
Yeah,
really
that
enjoy
is
it.
true.
This is true. This is
We
true.
gotta
It's not
enjoy
true.
it.
Yeah, we
It's
gotta
true.
enjoy it. We gotta enjoy it. You gotta buy a house now.
This is
Before,
Crazy.
but yeah, getting back to Virginia Beach. So you said the infrastructure around what was that? Maybe the 2009, like early 10s, kind of to mid 10s, wasn't really there for jazz. But was there? Would you say that there's a musical infrastructure that's built now in a sort of way? I know we've got the Pharrells, we've got, you know, all of that cool stuff, Something in the Water happening. But when it comes down to like being a musician and going to studios and finding other musicians, I personally, when I go to the beach, you know, when I was a kid, it was this magical thing, you know, being, because I'm from, you know, like Northern Virginia. So you get to go to the beach, it's like Disney World.
Yeah, for sure.
But now when I go to the beach, I'm like, I can't believe it. My younger me would be like, damn, you're crazy. But there's, and we've talked about this before on our episode with young Chris, who's from the beach, about how the beach atmosphere kind of brings something.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's, I don't know what it is. It's like this little pit feeling or a little constant excitement. I don't really think it's the people on the boardwalk. It's really whatever, you know, you make it. But it's kind of like the landscape really has something to do with it for me. But yeah.
Really?
Man, I mean, I grew
You feel that?
I'm born and raised there.
Yeah.
And like,
Okay.
I'm one of them people that is, I don't have military background. Like, and a lot of people.
Oh, you just from there?
Transit. My people was from Virginia.
That's
And North
crazy.
Carolina.
That's
We didn't
crazy.
go too far. You know what I'm saying? So like,
That's crazy.
When I've been able to spend a lot of time and kind of get reacquainted with the area recently, and it's been beautiful, man. As an adult, to like see it from another perspective and not look at it like, oh man, it doesn't have this or have that. I'm learning to accept it for what it is.
Yeah.
There are a lot of incredible musicians that are still there, you know, especially a lot of the older jazz musicians that helped me.
Yeah.
That were pivotal in my, you know, teens and putting me on gigs when I was 15 when I probably shouldn't have been on the gigs.
Yeah, you be all right.
But they was like giving me a chance. It put my ass on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. They was like, yo, man, you fucking up, but it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, and they're still holding it down.
Right.
And it's nice, man, because, like, if anyone's going to be trying to create a music scene in that area, it needs to be these cats, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, okay. How do you? Okay, I've been a lot of things that you're saying are kind of like tying right back to how I feel about the DC industry. It's very
that's what I was
infrastructure.
thinking.
You drawing that line as well. There's a lot of lack of
definitely.
infrastructure.
DMV shit, bro.
Okay, it's all the same. So like, but there's this other point of the idea. Actually, this curator from National Gallery of Art. Her name is Rashida Witter. She took the Great Day in Chocolate City photo. All of these beautiful black artists who have been around since like the 60s and beyond here. And she says her definition of contemporary includes the elders. But when I thought about that, I was like, well, how the fuck do you activate elders? Like, how would you reach back to VAB to be like, all right, 75-year-old nigga, I'm gonna put you on now. What does that even look like?
You know, I mean, I've had a lot of cool thoughts recently of just like, okay, when I'm
Ooh, I
down
love
there
cool
chilling,
thoughts. Yeah.
for instance, I'm like, well, you know what? I've been kind of having this like love again for playing acoustic jazz. I did a show in Richmond.
There you go. With the brushes and shit, you got brushes.
Oh yeah.
Oh
All
yeah.
that. We, oh man, I'm stirring, dog. We cooking out here, bro. We cooking, baby. We cooking, dog. We in there, bro. Hey.
I love that.
Hey, bro, we in there.
I love it,
Wax
man.
on
We are all
wax
in there. All right, man.
I love that.
So yeah, bro, I'm like, you know, I'm having fun with it again, man, and I'm thinking about like, you know what? When I'm down, I'm gonna put some jazz shit together.
Yeah.
With some of these OGs that I know that are dope, and we'll just play some music.
Yeah.
Nothing deep. Let's just play, and it gives me an opportunity to like keep those skills sharp.
Yeah.
And what that does is enhance what I do over here with the electric shit, and when I play with Butcher and anybody else, when that's more boom bap or whatever.
Yeah.
And it all goes hand in hand. It's all important. So it's fun for me, man. And
Yeah.
like I think I'm the type of person I gotta want to do it in order for it to be like actually effective for other people and for me. Like when I put that show together in Richmond in July at Reveille, we played all acoustic.
Yeah.
Upright bass, grand piano,
Yeah.
saxophone.
It's a
trumpet.
jazz spot, right?
Super jazz. Like
Yeah.
it was some straight ahead and it was dope. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do more of that. I wanna do some stuff in New York. I'm gonna do some stuff down on the beach. And I wanna just try to bring a little bit of that element down there that might be missing. And perhaps maybe it takes someone like myself that's from there to like tap in
Yeah.
and show people also that look like me that they can do this and not just hoop.
It's true.
I love that. We've brought that up on the podcast a lot of times.
That is your shit, yes.
I love when people do something cool, people of color, because other people of color see it and they see that they can also do these interesting things.
Hey, niggas on jazz? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
saying,
yeah,
bro.
and I think the younger generation is
They
more
own it, bro.
into jazz than.
Oh my
Yo,
God, Gen
these-
Z and Gen Alpha will fucking love jazz. They
tapped
just don't
in.
know.
I mean,
They tapped in,
millennials.
bro.
They tapped in?
Bro,
Yeah.
they seem tapped in. I remember, like, even in Richmond, bro, like, Butcher used to play in Richmond, like, 10 years ago, man, these people were not fucking with us back then. Like, they was still, like, very much, and no shade to the jam band. They cool, but they only wanted to hear that thing.
jam bands,
They
yeah,
just
they're
wanted to
popular.
hear a certain thing, you know.
Oh, let's go there.
They just wanted to have the flip flops out, get fucked up. Now these young
Yeah.
kids, they still get fucked up, but they've been exposed to like Flying Lotus, Thundercat, that whole Brain Feeder universe, Stone's Throw.
We want to hear something.
They want to hear some other shit. Now they into the deep house music stuff. Like they want to hear all them chords. Like, and so when Butcher played last year, we did Friday Cheers. I was like, yo, I don't even recognize none of these kids is at this show right now. And it's the fact that they getting exposure to this music from the internet. And it's like,
Fucking love that.
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing because it's not just, look, like we can talk about how bad streaming is. And like, people aren't buying physical copies of records. But at the same time, they have access to so much music. Like one of my closest best friends, Billy Williams, dope drummer, his nephew is like early 20s and sending him music. Like, have you checked this out? He's listening to like Tom Misch.
Oh,
He's
I love
listening
Tom
to
Misch,
like
yeah.
all this other like hip shit that like I swear was not existing. was not popping up.
New age
for us.
jazz is great because I think hip hop didn't exist when people were making jazz initially, but now hip hop exists. So I feel like
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Takes a lot of different. There's a lot of different genres that you can kind of influence into jazz. Even on Montrose there was I think it was still Melbourne, a little more psychedelic even. Like with the guitar, and so there's a lot of different subgenres. And
Do you think, okay, so for your man's a son, do you think he is the majority of that generation or do you think he exists in a minority?
I think that he is. It might be split. It's tough because I think these kids are super open to just music.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think so, man. You'd be surprised, man. I try to not underestimate these kids now, man. I feel like I've seen some of these younger Gen Z, boys and girls that hear us and they start bobbing.
This is true.
And I'm like, oh, this is fire. Okay, cool. They're actually into it. They just
Okay.
need to see it and it needs to be presented in a cool way.
Yeah.
Because it's
Exactly.
still optics at the end of the day.
It's very true. Can't be old niggas just up there.
Yeah.
Well, not old niggas in a non-cool way.
Nah, but yo, dog, like growing up for me, a lot of the black kids thought jazz and they thought old white dudes with Hawaiian shirts on playing on the beach, bro. And it was like, this is corny. I don't
Yeah.
want to see that.
That was not the case.
I got a story for y'all real
Go,
quick.
I'm ready.
Go for it.
Ninth grade, we had the SOL testing in Virginia.
Yep,
like
I
the
remember
statewide test. And we were in the cafeteria, and this is at my high school. And think about it: tall tees, tube socks, all black Force Ones. The 25th to 20th
05
anniversary.
was a great time.
Yeah,
man.
So we was all tapped in. We were all wearing that shit, bro. D4L, everything was cracking.
Go ahead with your story, brother. Don't get me started.
So I'm in there. I still had like the CD player with the headphones, man, and I was like listening to some music, and I was listening to jazz. And this kid, he was like probably 11th grade, was like, "Yo, blood, what you listening to?" He came, everybody trying to be hard at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh God, he about to cook me." I'm ninth grade freshman, and I was like, I probably mumbled it, man. I'm just listening to some jazz. I don't know, man. And I was like, "You want to check it out?" He's like, "Yo, let me hear it." I was like, "All right, cool. He gonna fuck with me, man." He puts that shit on. He's like, "What is this, some jazz?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yo, this shit is hard." And this is in 2005.
Shit. He was ahead of his time, huh?
This was Robert Glasper Trio, his first record called Mood.
Oh, yeah.
This is way before Robert Glasper blew up.
Glasper's.
But like Rob, he didn't know what he looked like.
Yeah.
Because, there was no YouTube, early YouTube.
Good point.
He just heard it But it spoke to this nigga.
Yeah.
It spoke to him because he heard black people playing this music.
Yeah.
He didn't have to understand the technicalities of it, but he heard something that resonated.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew it's just about presentation and the vibe.
Yeah.
The vibe got to be right. And if it's the right person showing them, I don't know where that dude is at now, but you never know. That man changed his whole perception on music. And he might be collecting records now, but that always taught me like, yo, you can't underestimate anybody. And so now I'm like, yo, I think these kids, and that was way before we had access to just all this stuff on playlists.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, man. So, for me, seeing him, respond that way was beautiful. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? I think we might be onto something. And then look up 8-10 years later, Robert Glasper's huge.
Yeah, true.
Robert Glasper has definitely been on that new age tip, I feel like, for like a while.
Yeah.
True.
I love Robert Glasper.
You're very optimistic.
I am.
You're very optimistic, and I appreciate your optimism because I don't feel like we've had that optimistic perspective on the show quite yet.
That's true.
Quite often what I hear is the conversation me and Alex have is, are we in the midst of an artistic depression or an artistic renaissance? Because the access to genres, to your particular point, but also the access to technology and artificial intelligence makes music more doable in a sense that makes it look like it's more complicated, but in actuality it's really not. And so that's kind of where I am right now. It's like I look at this. It is scary. We had a gentleman on here. It had to be a gentleman. We've only had niggas on here. We had a gentleman on here in the first season that said he's not interested in creating new melodies because all the great melodies already exist. That doesn't feel like a very jazz forward, jazz futuristic thought.
I mean,
Oh,
if he's into that kind of thing. But, look.
What is that kind of thing?
I feel like
I've been having a hard time putting my finger on it.
I just feel like, look, we're all taking from somewhere. You know what I mean? But like, I think we're all different people. Like I may have a drummer that I've idolized, and I've taken from them, but I'm also putting my own spin on it. You can keep shit fresh.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah. Depends on what you're listening to. Are you just listening to what's being fed to you on the playlist, or are you tapping into some other types of music? There's so much music out here to be inspired from.
Well, then how do you? I think the modern argument is like, because they took arts education out of the school, there's an entire generation now, 20 years, who don't know how to discover music. So how do you even for your man's son? It's like cool because my father's a musician, so I think I have a plug in. But for the regular kid who outside right now, how do they discover even Butcher Brown?
Yeah, that's tricky. Because it is, here's the real shit. It's such a saturated market now.
Yeah.
The internet, everybody making beats.
Yeah.
Everyone's also trying to get famous. And unfortunately, they're prioritizing that over making good music or art.
There we go.
So, I just believe in balance. And, some people going to get caught up in that. If you come in there, like Quincy Jones, I think, said something along the lines of like, when you making a record and you start talking about, we going to get this money or this shit about to pop off.
Creativity and God left
it already, Yep. So you already know. That's what happens. The spirit leaves the room automatically because you're not prioritizing that art. It's like, what are you doing? Like, the focus shouldn't be trying to get popping. It should be making some good music. And if it's genuine, people will hear it.
Oh, you said my favorite two words in the world. Quincy Jones.
I thought you were going to say genuine and something else.
Nah,
but,
that's just another word. Quincy Jones is an institution.
Quincy
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that being said, then how do you define a good music? How do you define the pursuit of good music?
Ooh.
It's okay if you want to get technical on it. It's like if you want to explore time signatures and modulations. You know what's funny? Okay. I watched a video the other day. I think I talked about this in the last episode. Watched a video the other day. Rappers are now doing the punch-in method, right? So very rare rappers actually writing the full 16. They'll hear the beat, punch in.
Oh, okay.
Hear the beat, punch in, right? That's why you get 16s that feel a little
rigid.
What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Right? Because you just punched in every segment. So when it comes to the complexity of music or even the evolution of music, does it have to be more complex? Does it have to use more of like the traditional music terminologies and motifs like time signatures and playing with modulations and keys and like different chord structures? Is that the future of music, or is it more so like vibes and like lyricism and simplicity?
Man, that's a hard question. I don't know if I can answer that, but I think I'll say it's personally for me, I'm not trying to hear all the like complicated music. I want something that I can relate to and connect to. I'm still my basis is still the blues.
Okay, for sure. Mine too.
You know what I'm saying?
Just can I feel it?
Yeah, I gotta feel it, man. You know, so if it's, I always say, and I heard this from now he's Chief Adjua, formerly Christian Scott, Atunde Adjua. I used to play with him, and he used to always say before we went on stage when I was in his band, make sure you play with love in your heart and conviction. There we go. You know, and I've tried to live by that since then. Yeah. You know, he told me that when we were like 22. Me and Braxton Cook was in the band. He always said that. Cook. And we used to laugh about that joke, but like, it's a real thing, you know. If you're giving your all into the music on stage or in the studio, I think it'll resonate with people, you know. And, I think I'm trying to feel emotions. I want people to feel something, like we were saying earlier, arm hair standing up or they shed a tear, you know. It's like, it's genuine, like real emotions that come from that. So I believe the future of music is we're gonna always have some bullshit out there. That's just what it is. But I guess
the game is the game.
It's like, I guess, I don't know people messing with buffets anymore. I don't. But like, it's like picking and choosing what you like. Oh, I'm gonna keep this here. Oh, I'm gonna take this. You know what? No, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta figure out what you enjoy. And, sometimes I try to live in my little bubble just to like cut out the noise of some bullshit I ain't got time for. And that's the same thing with people. If the energy's off, I don't want to be around it.
Yeah.
And so that applies to music for me as well. So, I try to, again, like I want to stay optimistic about it because I like what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm lucky to sometimes come across some dope music that I'm like, man, this only got like 100 plays on Spotify, but this is amazing. But that's where it's messed up,
So that goes back to my question, like how do you define success? Because then I also see these brilliant pieces and they're like 100 plays, and in my mind it feels like, oh, this what I grew up in, the world that I grew up in, this was the norm. People were chasing this type of feeling, chasing this type of quality. Now this feels like museum, like the Jazz Fest to a certain degree. So like, oh, I have to go seek out the Jazz Fest, and in the Jazz Fest, everything will be framed beautifully, so I can accept this moment. Yeah. But like, that's not going to translate 20 feet away from the Jazz Fest.
Nah, that's true. And that's the thing too. Is it's like I've noticed. I mean, look, it's great to see like older folks there, but how do y'all get the future up in there?
Yeah,
and that's a whole other thing. And so, but to answer that question, I think I define success as like what makes you happy.
Yeah.
It can't be monetary. It's got to be, oh, I made this. I don't care if anybody heard it, but this makes me happy. I put it out. Even if 50 motherfuckers only hear this joint, I'm good with that because you know what? I got it out. So
the expression.
Yeah. The expression, bro, that's still first, man. So, I define success with that. If one person tells me, man, you played this on this record and it changed my life, that is success, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
True.
Definitely. I also think that music being put on these digital streaming platforms, DSPs, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. The cool thing about it is it presumably lasts forever.
Yeah.
Right? So that person with 100 plays, who cares? Because years from now, that could be 1 million. Or it could, you know what I mean? And it from a royalty perspective, that's why I love getting people's music on distribution platforms, because it's like, this could be better than stocks.
Yeah.
Like this could be like better than putting gold in like a safe. You never know. You never know. Like,
and it might just get like, for instance, like going back to our boy with Devon, like he did that Christmas album in 2010 at his mama house.
Yep.
Or maybe I forget, maybe his like first studio in Richmond. Just he recorded on the DAT machine, and then like 12 years later it gets picked up in Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, of course.
I actually synced that.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that shit.
He just did it.
It's crazy.
It's just one example, but so many people are put music out, and you just never know who's listening.
That's true.
You don't know who's listening. My dad always told me that too. He was always like, man, look, you could be playing in front of 5 people, but it might be somebody that's tapped in. So it's like, you got to just show up.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did the whole Ralph Lauren winter ad campaign.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's just good music.
Yeah.
This shit's going to last.
Exactly.
So, with being a drummer, do you mess around with any like DAWs or software or anything like that, or do you just play the drums, record it, and
No, I use Logic.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I have to. That's my DAW. I use Logic Pro. I sit there for hours on it.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure it out. Some days I feel like I'm successful. Some days I'm like, you know what, I got to step away. I'm not hearing nothing.
So you legitimately make beats as like on top of just playing the drums. So you use samples from your. Okay.
I'll sample myself.
Sample yourself. That's what I assumed.
I'll like go sometimes, like say if I got some drums I'll record. Yeah. I'll speed them up, slow them down, put some crazy effects on them, get in there and start messing with plugins and like doctor them up, loop a section, and then try to make it sound like a classic break.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
So then I'll add bass on it. I'll just layer it up. I also send drums out to homies. Like I've sent drums to like Seafood, to Ali. I've sent drums to just friends, man. Just like, yo, put something on top of this. Like, let's make something. Just that's the beauty with having like this whole like internet thing now. It's like I'm gonna just send you this WeTransfer, you get loose. I'm gonna send you 20 drums of just breaks. Go crazy. Yeah. And that's how I got on the Ray Khalil record.
Oh, just sent him a whole bunch of drums.
I sent my homie, shout out to Cartoons. I sent him he sent me the track and I recorded drums and I sent him some other shit too. And you just never know, man.
Yeah, it's true. You don't know.
So, got a writing credit on there next to Freddie Gibbs.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
Crazy.
Cool stuff.
I usually ask this question, but I ask it in a different context. But I want to ask you, what's your relationship with Luther Vandross?
Oh God, man.
I knew this would be.
Go ahead.
Bro, listen. Every Christmas, my parents still got that damn CD disc changer. Luther Christmas every year, bro.
Yeah, Luther Christmas.
That joint come on every year. My mom puts that on, makes breakfast. We just that and the Whispers Christmas.
Oh, it's up.
You already know. And when Luther dropped that record in 2003, live at Radio City. Oh my God, my dad was running that up, bro.
Really,
Luther, bro, and my mom they love some Luther. When Luther passed away,
hurt.
Oh yeah,
hurt, bro. The culture was hurt. I remember exactly where I was when that happened. Yeah. And it was just like, man, wow, this is a huge loss. But man, Luther Vandross, you kidding me? That's one of the coldest singers of all time. The mic was on, even back to like when he was in Change. Yeah. Luther's so cold, man. Actually, one of my close friends, Brevin Hamden, he's a dope percussionist and drummer. His pops played for Luther for at least 30 years, Ivan Hamden. And he's on a lot of those records.
What?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yep.
So I usually ask that question in a different context, but I want to ask you as a drummer, because I think I have the concept that like drumming is like, like 1-2 notes, but in actuality, like it's still very musical in a sense. I want to ask your relationship to like musicality and the virtuosity of like melody. Like how much does that play effect into your percussive style?
Make some good questions, man.
Well, we good out here.
Yeah, great questions. It's I look at drums like a melodic instrument, and it depends on how you play the instruments. Everyone has their own perspective on it, and when they sit down, for me, I'm constantly just thinking like a producer first.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm thinking about the whole picture. Like I'm trying to throw paint on the wall.
Yeah,
I'm listening to everything, and that's why I always feel drummers make really great producers.
Yeah, this is true.
Because we're listening to all these motherfuckers
100%.
constantly.
Yeah, all the time.
We got
100%.
Drummers and bass players are always the dopest producers, but I think that for me,
no trumpet producer. Get out of here. Get out of here, man.
Like we have to play behind everybody and try to create, especially with jazz. Like we got to make sure it feel good.
Yeah,
but in every genre. But anyway, man, like I like the fact that with drums, for me, it gives me, I've just listened to a lot of music, understanding dynamics, and how to sit in a certain sonic frequency next to the bass and keys and like blend in. Not playing too loud, tuning my drums a certain way. Choice of cymbals make sense. And in the studio, you really get crazy. You can get creative because then you start messing with microphones and placement of mics and figuring out, like, you know, how this is going to sound. And I don't know, with ride cymbals, man, they kind of create like a sonic, like drums can carry a whole song.
They can.
Yeah. That can carry a whole song. There's so many, I can't think of anything. Well, like, I guess, what was that Justin Timberlake song from the early 2000s? Justified.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, true.
The drums carried the whole track. It's like, you know, drums write the melody too. You know, like all them classic rap albums, man, we bobbing our head because of them damn drums.
Them damn drums.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right.
So. Okay, so I gotta ask, what's Butcher Brown got cooking? Y'all got anything? I know you're going on tour, European tour, but yeah, what's next? Y'all been, man, doing great. I mean, and we did mention it, but last time I saw Butcher Brown was Mainline Brewery at Richmond.
Yeah.
Packed that show. Talk about young people enjoying Butcher Brown.
That was cool,
this place.
man.
I mean, Anderson .Paak just showed up because he fucks with Butcher Brown like that. He flew into Richmond just to chill in Richmond and went to go see that show.
Found out we were playing and pulled up.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm real fortunate, bro. We're actually wrapping up the new record. We're about to start mixing next week.
Sweet.
Nice. Congrats.
Over at Space Bomb in Richmond. Shout out to them. Matt White, Alex DeJean. He's mixing the record. I'm really excited about this project. We're going to be dropping some remixes. We have a remix from Ali and a remix from Dr. Dundiff that's dropping in a couple weeks.
Sweet.
Yeah, man, we're going to be like kind of just going crazy for just out,
As
just
you should.
up until the record drops. And I guess the spring. But yeah, new music, man. Remix is coming out in the fall, like probably while we're in Europe. We're going to be dropping some stuff. We have a single coming out. I'm going to wait to mention that because I want to make sure it's actually confirmed.
yeah.
But, you know, new music on the way for sure, man. And I'm excited for this record. And I know artists say that all the time, but this one just has a lot of like cohesiveness. And
love that, yeah.
It just feels like right. Like we got a bunch of dope guests on the record that I think people are gonna really fuck with, man. A lot of female energy on the record. I got to be careful with that word sometimes, you know.
Yeah, it is. I've been saying femme.
A lot of femme energy.
A lot of femme energy.
A lot of women on the record.
A lot of women on the record, yeah.
They don't like the female.
Yeah,
don't like the
man.
female. I get it, though. I don't
It
get it.
all relates back to male or man.
It does. It's like so much.
Because we got so much toxic male energy in Butcher, so it's like, man, we got to balance it out with some femme.
Hey,
man.
I
Get
know
some
all of
femmes
the
in here,
toxic male energy.
man. So that's all, man. Look, anyway, I'm real thrilled, man.
All these niggas in there.
All these niggas, man. Y'all came down to record her vocals, man, back in May. And she was like, I mean, it wasn't just us. We just had homies pulling up. She was like, man, goddamn, I'm in here recording. I see one nigga, two niggas, three niggas, four niggas, five niggas walk in. Yeah. She had us cracking up, man. But anyway, dog, yeah, man, a lot of music on the way. Real excited for it.
I'm excited for it,
just trying to keep music coming out, man. Making good music, trying to just like also like showcase other up and coming artists.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun for us. Like, you know, it's one thing that, you know, we were getting a little pressure was like, man, let's try to shoot for the stars and get some big names. And I'm just like, that's cool and all, but when they fold and don't show up, then what?
Then what, right?
It's cool. It's better to have people that have passion for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give you more of themselves and you're going to feel that
it's
love
more
on the
intentional.
record. So, exactly.
Precisely.
Great. Thanks for listening, y'all. If you get a chance to subscribe, like, download, and follow, we really appreciate it. You can find us on Instagram at TheReUp, ODCAST. You can also find us on Patreon for exclusive content. New episodes every other Thursday. Thanks for your trust. Appreciate y'all.